What's up everyone, it's Endymion, and it's been around a week since I've spoken about the Call of Duty boycott, as I figured what's been said was enough, but boy was I wrong. Recently there's been a few interesting tidbits of information that have surfaced surrounding not only the fallout of this boycott, but the origin of it as well. To very quickly recap just in case, Nickmercs got his bundle removed by Activision for saying LGBT groups should leave kids alone. And since then, the backlash has been nothing short of nuclear against Activision for removing Nick's bundle. The origin of this backlash was from concerned parents protesting against these LGBT groups for pushing woke ideology onto their children. Now there's actual footage of one of these concerned protesters who was there during that event that surfaced, so let's give that a look.
Why are you here today? I'm here because I want to stand up for, I don't have children, but I'm here to stand up for, people who do have kids, for my little cousins, for our community members, and I'm here to show and to hopefully not only have them listen to me, but for them to hear us all out and show that indoctrination to our children is not okay and it's not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. They should prioritize arithmetic, math, sciences, everything should be priority, and anything else should be secondary. I was taking, it's like they had to do a sex ed assembly, right? I needed parental consent to do that. Why don't parents have the right to know what they're teaching their children in school? Why can't parents sign their kids out? First part. Second part, if they're doing all of this, this is not needed in school. What's needed is, yes, you have to respect everybody. We're all equal, whatever, right? That's what's needed. Indoctrination and shoving something down somebody's throat is different than respecting people. If they want to have this kind of whatever class, after school with parental consent. I think a child needs to know how to do basic math before they learn any of this. This is an optional thing. This is not needed. The only thing that's needed is arithmetic and respect. If you look 20 years ago what the standardized testing scores were, excelling. You look on the school's website, you look on Redfin and Zillow to look at houses, Glendale was 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 schools. Now it's like 4 out of 10 because the scores significantly decreased because they're pushing all this political agenda. They're pushing everything, and I understand that.
This concerned woman who was at the event Nickmercs commented on proves that the pushback against woke ideology is reaching a breaking point. These parents are right to be concerned as well, since schools and the teachers within them have become so woven into the pushing of these ideas that it's commonplace for children to be fed woke identity politics even during classes like math that have nothing to do with these concepts. How does learning stuff like division coincide with your gender identity? Shut up, you bigot, now open your mouth and consume the politically correct talking points or fear being publicly humiliated for having the courage to speak your mind. Then there's articles by places like Rolling Stone, which were released earlier this month that has since gained more attention, where they claim companies going woke doesn't affect their profits. The battle of misinformation by opposing sides is obviously at an all-time high right now. And this Rolling Stone's article tries to spin its story by giving examples like Bud Light and Disney as companies that haven't been affected by backlash. And if you've kept up to date at all about those companies in particular, this Rolling Stone article is just laughably inaccurate, since Bud Light's sales have dropped immensely due to the Dylan Mulvaney backlash. And Disney has lost over $900 million just in the last year from its movies, and its products are doing so poorly, they laid off over 7,000 people this year already. Amidst the tornado of insanity that is the world today, it's obviously really hard to decipher who's telling the truth and who's blatantly lying to you for some level of gain. According to the man himself, Nickmercs was even reached out by his brand deals following the comment, yet it was only Call of Duty that dropped him. Here, watch.
Got to give a bunch of love to all of our partners, man, that gave me a chance to hear me out, Full transparency. They didn't even give me a chance. They didn't even talk to me. And I'm only bringing that up because everybody else did. Everybody else did. Like every other partner I have, everybody else, man, we at the very least had a conversation. Like, hey, Nick, listen, man, you can understand why these thoughts might be a little bit, provocative and whatnot. We just kind of want to talk to you, our partner, and get a deeper understanding as to what you meant, how you feel. Call of Duty's the only one, man. They just yanked the fucking rug on me. No conversation about it. Now, they can make that decision. I'm not saying that they can't, but I just think it's kind of crazy that not even a conversation, huh? And chat, listen, can we agree on something? Yo, hold on. Of all the companies, and I really, my manager's not going to want me to say this, man, but I just got to keep it a buck. Bro, of all the companies, Call of Duty, that's the company? Is anybody else bamboozled by that? I am. Jesus Christ, man. I didn't even say anything. Fuck. I keep thinking it's like I went up there and did a speech.
And it's very interesting to hear Nick blatantly state that it was only Activision that severed ties with him following the statement. And it speaks volumes that they didn't even bother to reach out to him either. They just removed his bundle and then went radio silent. While Nick didn't say which other brands reached out to him about his statement, I think if I was one of those brands, I would want Nick to say publicly who didn't drop him despite the backlash. Cause that would be the easiest sales increase you could get right now without spending a single dollar. Because whichever brands did stand up for Nickmercs' right to free speech, they should be applauded. Hopefully, we find out one day who they are. And of course, recently DrDisRespect also clapped back at Hasan, who in my previous video I called out for being a political chameleon who has no backbone or identity of his own. DrDisRespect recently clowned on Hasan, so let's enjoy that, shall we?
I got no... My favorite content creator is Hassan. Even though he's fat and he's got weird looking structure of shoulders and he's unathletic. But he's really fat. He's my favorite content creator. I got nothing going on. I'm so depressed. I got a chip on my shoulder. I'm critical of everything except myself. I got he, him in my bio, and I know.
And following the two-time responding, it led to Hasan having to respond as well.
But yeah, funny thing is when you said what you said, you were reading a chatter. I know, but that doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I will own it. Like, I'll stand by it. It's not. I'm not trying to like deflect away from that. That's something that I would say regardless. Just like a million people have said it regardless. Like I don't think it's that serious at all. I think it's like perfectly valid. It's perfectly valid to make that joke. And you know, they're just mad. They're big mad. It doesn't really matter.
And while it's within Hasan's right to make fun of the doc's wife, it doesn't shield him from the backlash for going for such a low blow. You also need to realize that Hasan originally got his start on the Young Turks, which is an internet news show hosted and created by Cenk Uygur, who is also, in case you didn't know, Hasan's uncle. The entirety of the Young Turks is just a news propaganda channel that pushes liberal and progressive ideas. And their name has always irked me because of its connection to the Ottoman Empire. And back in the day, we're talking the 90s here, Cenk Uygur was criticized heavily because he denied events like the Armenian genocide ever happening, which is a common position to have from someone born within the sphere of influence that the Ottoman Empire operates within. And in case you want to know what Hasan's uncle denies ever happening, the Armenian genocide was a massacre done by the Ottomans on the Armenian populace. It resulted in well over 1 million documented deaths and was defined with atrocities like death marches, where innocent Armenians were marched into the desert and systematically slaughtered for simply being who they are. When this travesty happened around World War I, it was considered one of the worst human atrocities ever recorded in history. Unfortunately, it would be surpassed by the Holocaust during World War II, but to say the scars still remain, yeah, that would be an understatement. Cenk did eventually apologize about this because the backlash he got for it was nuclear. But it doesn't surprise me that the nephew of a genocide denier happens to also be a clown who deals low blows against his opponents, since Hasan being successful to begin with is only because his uncle had a large platform. Hasan is just another annoying nepo baby who ate from a golden spoon his entire life, and he was handed all of his success on a silver platter without having to actually build anything himself. And it's equally hilarious and tone-deaf that he pushes leftist and socialist ideologies which champion ideas like everyone having the same opportunities and needs met, when Hasan himself was born into a wealthy family that gave him every opportunity and advantage over his peers. So I apologize if I don't exactly take anything he says as gospel, especially from a socialist who lives in a $1 million mansion. The irony just speaks volumes on itself. Thankfully, this backlash has seemed to do the opposite of what these woke freaks wanted to happen, with Nickmercs boasting that not only did the backlash not work against him, it made his fanbase even bigger, and now he's more popular than ever.
They really did try to come for me, man. They tried to chain my ass up. They wanted me gone. Isn't that crazy? They shot and missed. That's like rule number 1 in cancellation. It really is. If you're gonna cancel somebody, you cannot attempt and fail. That just makes everything. God damn it, you motherfuckers! That just made it so much worse for you. You can't do that. Rule number 1 is do not miss, and you whiffed. You airballed. That was the corniest attempt to cancel a fucking anybody I've ever seen. For saying leave children alone.
It makes me really happy to see people with large platforms like Nick and Doc speaking out against this woke insanity. Because whenever you actually decipher and deconstruct what people like Hassan and companies like Activision stand for, it just reveals how wrong and twisted their ideals are. And it really doesn't help the woke backlash when clips like this recently get released from a Pride event. The uncomfortable truth that a lot of people still need to come to grips with is that these ideas will not sit idly by forever. You cannot sit there and simply ignore them in hopes that these movements won't grow and become more radical, since giving into the demands of crazy people will only make these nutjobs keep pushing the needle further. These woke, progressive, Hassan-backed ideologies exist for one reason, which is the indoctrination of the youth. Nick and Doc have every right to say what they think because these guys are fathers. And the propaganda of today isn't looking to just sway people to their side. It actively wants to replace society with a weaker and more easily controllable populace that bends to every whim. I don't know if you saw this recent clip either, but it shows a massive crowd of youths in Russia all celebrating. And people on Twitter were astounded because not a single one of the youths in that video were overweight, had blue hair with communist flag t-shirts, or any of the typical nonsense you see here in the West. Looking at this viral clip of Russian men and women is like peering into a time capsule of a society that feels alien in today's Western world. It's no wonder we're more divided than ever before because the morals of society are being wrestled between rational thinking and woke insanity. And to finish this video, I want to quickly talk about how Activision hates you and doesn't care. Recently, they announced they'll be taking Caldera Warzone away for good, and fans are pissed. On September 21st, 2023, Caldera will be erased from Warzone according to COD's devs. This is being done so the teams behind COD can work on new experiences without updating it, and fans are actively voicing to boycott the game in response. Unfortunately, removing content like Caldera is annoyingly on brand for modern gaming. Since digital content is easily manipulated, these companies can remove things whenever they want, even if you spend money on it. So if you ever needed another reason to boycott Call of Duty, well, they just gave you another one. Activision doesn't care about you, your money, or your views on woke ideology. And they're so confident, they're spitting in your face and waiting for you to say thank you. So do what you will with that information. Thank you for watching and like the video to help the channel out. Subscribe for more in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.
Feel good! That's what you gotta do. You gotta feel good! Feel it! Feel! 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 Feel good!